Welcome back to Reps and Redemption, where we challenge the stereotypes of motherhood and being a stay-at-home mom and embrace strength in every aspect of our lives, especially in our health, our fitness, and in our faith. Today's episode is all about visible abs and why they're more than just a fitness goal. What I'm going to do is just guide you through a few brief things to consider and some nutritional tips for achieving and maintaining a strong core. Hey there, I'm Ashley, mom of 4 and creator of Reps and Redemption. Join me as I share my passion for health education, explore all things fitness and nutrition, plus share a little faith-filled homemaking along the way. If you're a mom ready to build strength and live a life of epic redemption, this podcast is for you. Let's get after it. I know you probably clicked on this episode in curiosity as to what the heck am I talking about with why or should moms have abs? And I believe the answer from my perspective is a resounding yes. And what I mean by that is it is absolutely possible. But let's first, debunk a couple of myths. One in particular, that visible abs are only about aesthetics. Now, for me, I believe they look great. I feel extremely fit when my abs are more visible, but it's not just for that reason alone. Core strength positively impacts our posture, reduces the risk of injuries, and enhances our overall functionality. It is about feeling strong, capable, and empowered physically and emotionally, as well as mentally. I want to also just touch on the fact that being physically strong, we can feel that, and that's actually going to happen before we look physically strong. I am speaking from experience with myself, a few other people that I know that I've trained with. And usually when you look in the mirror, you don't feel like you're quite there yet. You're like, oh, I need to lose this, or I need to lift heavier here. And those are all good things. As long as you are mentally aware that this is a long-term goal. We are doing this for longevity. There is no stop sign in sight. This is a lifestyle. So if you embrace that truth, then when you kind of have an off season, or let's say an injury or a new baby, you're not beating yourself up because you don't fit inside your ideal box. I hope that makes sense. The next point I wanted to talk about was core strength and functional fitness. So visible abs are also obviously a byproduct of your core, a strong core, and these are vital for everyday movements. So from picking up our little kids, carrying in groceries, I'm not sure about you, but I have 2 floors. So the first floor and then the second floor, I have stairs. So I'm always up and down, and a robust core improves our balance, our stability. And for me, hello jujitsu and heavy strength training. I know that having a strong core, including my pelvic floor, this is included in the core, really makes a difference in my everyday movements, just mom life movements. Let me set aside a minute to say kneading dough takes a lot of work from my upper body, but my core is engaged while I'm kneading the bread. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but these things happen while we're moving around. We don't really think that they're happening. We don't think our muscles are engaging or our core or anything like that. But this is really important to keep in mind, to having our balance improved as well, like I mentioned. And then one of the other points I wanted to make, I'm trying to make this episode a little bit quick and easily digestible for several reasons, one of which is my babies are starting to wake up. So I need to get to the point here. So the third point I wanted to make was the role of nutrition. I don't know if you've ever heard this. I'm sure you have. It's been around for years, but it's a saying that says abs are made in the kitchen. So the importance of a balanced diet, rich in nutrients, help support our muscle development and aid in our fat loss. I've said this before on the show that real food should be our main focus. Lean proteins, salmon, chicken, fiber-packed veggies, healthy fats like nuts and olive oil, avocados. All of this is only going to complement our fitness goals. I've talked a lot about food on the show. I definitely want to dive deeper into big family healthy meal planning because it is getting crazy over here, and I'm sure you could use a few tips, and I would love to know what you are doing to feed yourself and your family real food. That would be amazing. The fourth tip that I have for you is having food examples around that, or like menus that you kind of just go to, something that you can just pull from really quick. One of the tips that I've given on the show, probably 2 or 3 times now in the past, is my husband and I will cook 1 to 2 proteins on Sunday, and then we'll also batch cook some veggies and maybe some jasmine rice, and we have that ready to go. So if we're in a pinch, or we'll plan it for like the dinner the next night, and then the rest of the week it's like, okay, as soon as I get home from the gym, I know what the kids are having for lunch, I know what I'm having for lunch, and I'm not, reaching for the empty carbs. Yes, I still have those in my home, not a lot, but I do love sometimes my Siete chips, or I love stuff like that. All in balance, right? But we're focusing on real food. And picture a day filled with meals like colorful salads, grilled chicken, that you already cooked on Saturday or Sunday, or maybe your day is Monday. You do whatever works for you. Quinoa bowls, assortment of veggies, nutrient-dense snacks, and, just foods that are going to keep you full throughout the day. For me, I am attempting to eliminate snacks. This is really hard for me because I love food and I love to snack and I love snacks. However, for my current fitness goals, kind of has an end in sight, but then after that, you just keep going, right? You don't quit, you don't stop. You might change your plan, you might change your focus. But for me, I'm attempting to eliminate snacks and eat 3 to 4 larger, fresh, nutrient-dense, high-calorie meals. They're going to be a lot larger because they're going to be green and colorful, and there's going to be red peppers and tomatoes and chicken breasts. So it's going to look like a lot of food because I can eat more. And I might take my calories and divide by 3 or divide by 4 and just kind of focus on that. I also might save about 300 calories, maybe to 400 for my sweet treats that I love, because I love to have dark chocolate. And sometimes I'm just like, I need something sweet, and I love being able to have that. There's a possibility I'll eliminate the snacks and save the dessert for either after lunch or after dinner, because either one, I'm good with just one, but I like having the option to do that. I want to talk really quickly about time constraints and doing what we can with the time that we have. I just turned 39 yesterday, in case you were wondering or curious. I do not have the same amount of time that 29-year-old Ashley had, or 22 or 24-year-old. There's a lot of people that say everyone has 24 hours in the day. You and I both know that our 24 hours do not look the same as our 24 hours in our 20s. They just don't look the same. And especially if you have young children, time is of the essence. So to focus on what you can do in the limited time that I know you have and making it a priority. To wrap up this episode, I believe the answer to should moms have abs, I do believe the answer is yes. And if you're like, oh my gosh, no way, it's because partially deep down, you might think it's not a possibility. And I'm telling you that it is. We are strong and capable to strengthen and build our core. It is not a race, however. It's not going to happen overnight. One thing to consider as well is your body fat percentage. If we start to see abs in females, the abdominal structure in females between 16 and 19% body fat, and then you can start to see them. So if you're in the mid 20s, women are generally average is between 18 and 24%, I believe. And that's okay. This is not me saying that if you don't have abs, you aren't healthy. No, that's not what I'm saying here. What I am sharing and trying to encourage and inspire you to is next level fitness, to tell you that you can. Like I said just a moment ago, if you have 16% to 19% body fat, you probably can kind of already see your definition. And also using using keto, Whole30, macros, Mediterranean diet, whatever it is, the best diet you can do is the one you can do. That is what is going to make you be the most successful. And when I say what you can do, anyone can do the keto or Whole30 or macros for 2 weeks or even 60 days. What could you do starting today or tomorrow that you could do forever for the next 10 years? That is going to be the best choice for you because you won't have to keep changing it up or finding a different tool. Now you could, maybe that's something you enjoy doing, is every so often, actually I haven't done one in a very long time, but there was a while there, a couple years there, that my husband and I would just do the Whole30. It's a 30-day food challenge. There's nothing wrong with that. You detox from a lot of things like grains and sugar. So I do believe things like that are good, but I would not consider that a diet. And I would not really personally, because like I've mentioned before, I love desserts. I know you could make Whole30 desserts. Trust me, I've made them all. But it's not how I want to live all the time. So, consider that. Also, we can always start to, myself included, eliminate body fat. I'm not talking about jumping on the scale and saying, okay, I weigh, 135 today. I weighed 140 yesterday. That's not what I'm saying. I think the scale for me, like I mentioned it in the last episode, of just getting rid of it. And the only reason why I've been weighing myself is, side note, I might be competing in my very first jiu-jitsu competition coming up here in March. I will stay tuned. I'm terrified, but very excited as well. I will be obviously going against someone else who is the same rank as me, but consider that everyone can afford, probably, especially in the United States, to eliminate a little bit of body fat, myself included. I know for me, for example, I can see my abs very well, especially if my nutrition is dialed in. I might not even be able to make the gym more than 2 or 3 times a week. But if I am on point with my nutrition, and a lot of people say, well, it's your genetics, you've really good genes. Well, yeah, maybe, but if you really looked at your family, right, your husband's side, your side, and then you go back, I've thought about this. I don't, aside from my mom, to be honest with you, there really isn't that many healthy people in my lineage. My grandparents, my grandmother she walked a lot. But other than that, like nobody really, let me think. I'm trying to think now. Maybe my Uncle Jim did. Yes, he did. He went to Gold's Gym. I remember he would go to Gold's, come back, and I'd be like, what is this gym bag and this shirt that he's wearing? I was like maybe 10. What is he doing? And I love that. But yeah, good genes. That's good. But your habits and your daily actions and what you decide to put in your body and how you decide to move your body, that pulls the trigger. So I know that it can be challenging and it can be really hard. And there's a lot of tools to help you, but just make sure your mindset is to embrace your strength, but also consider your potential strength for where you can actually go. Set realistic goals and accept that it takes considerable time, especially if you have a significant amount of body fat to lose, and that is okay. Visible abs are a testament to commitment over time. So I wanted to really drive this one home. You might see somebody like that at the gym or in your circle of friends or something like that. When I say somebody like that, like there's some sort of secret superhero. Not really. They've just been really consistent for a long period of time. And I can also compare this to jiu-jitsu. It's not like being a black belt happens overnight. This is somebody who's been very disciplined in a skill and an art for a very long period of time. And that alone, maybe they're not good at anything else in life. I would find that hard to believe because this art makes you really think outside the box, but they just were consistent over and over and over again. So consider this. What would it look like for you to strengthen your core? What does that look like in your life? Would it help if you planned your breakfast and lunch? Would it help if you meal prepped for the week? Would it help if you planned a day in the gym just for core? Would it be exciting for you to add in a little bit heavier weights and use weights in your core exercises? Maybe you need to add a smidge of cardio. What does that look like for you to get to where you want to go since you clicked on this episode? I knew you were curious. So be intentional with your food and fitness as well as consistent, because consistency, nourishment, and resilience are the keys to success. Like I mentioned, my birthday was yesterday and I turned 39 years young. And as for me, I want this year, this next year, God willing, and many, many more with my family and, my kids, in my faith life, in my walk with the Lord. I want to be healthier than I have ever been, also in my fitness. And I want to push the limits with what I can do, what my body can do with the time that I have available to me. And maybe some days it's only 15 minutes and maybe other days it's 2.5 hours. But in this new year for myself, I would love to see what my body can do in balance, flexibility, and strength, and to really push my body into places I never thought I could go. I hope this episode has inspired you to really push forward and to see what you're actually capable of. If this episode inspired you, will you share with a friend? Remember, this podcast offers health education tips and holistic insights. Please consult healthcare professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, Mama, be bold and live well.